Hey guys, this week we're going to give a quick update on some changes that we're making to the user interface for Sourdough Sidekick. Let's check it out. Beep, 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 beep. So this week for the Sourdough Sidekick, we've had some experts that we brought in to kind of talk about some of the changes that we might make to the user interface and improve the overall user experience when interacting with the Sourdough Sidekick. So this is going to include big things like visibility, contrast of the screen, to little minor details like what kind of words should we use or whether certain letters should be capitalized. So I'm going to kind of go through a short list of some of the things that we think were really important changes. One of the things that came up is sound. This thing will have a speaker in it, so we will be able to have sounds to give feedback to users. But what should those sounds mean? We often think of just like a microwave that just beeps at the end of its cycle, but we wanted to give Sourdough Sidekick some character. So we want that chime to be kind of catch your attention and give you kind of the same cute vibe that we expect from our Sourdough Sidekick. Other things that we looked at were just interacting with the touch controls. One of the things that we heard back was maybe the knob is a little too sensitive in certain cases or not sensitive enough in others. So we'll be making some slight adjustments to that. Going back to sound, one of the complaints that we've had is that there's too many sounds, there's too many beeps. And we were beeping on every button touch, we were beeping every time the knob was rotated, even one little indent. So we're adjusting that so that we're only beeping on the button pushes and we're not beeping on the knob rotation so that we're not being overly annoying to our users. The other thing we're considering is just the wordage that we're using. We only have a limited number of letters in our screen that we can use, so we have to be careful about the words that we choose, that we are clearly communicating what the device is doing or what we're asking the user to do, but we have only so many letters that we can choose to do that. So sometimes in cases we were saying feeding when we were really just dispensing water or flour. So we might be changing that to the word adding to be a little bit more clear and to differentiate what the product is doing at certain times. Another thing we're looking at is the user experience at different times of day. So Sourdough Sidekick is going to be working 24/7. As long as it's got a mode running, it's going to be operating in the background, which can be problematic at nighttime when you want to go to sleep. We don't want Sourdough Sidekick to be making a bunch of noise, or if you walk into your kitchen at night when all the lights are out, we don't want it to be blinding you. So one of the things that we're looking at is actually timing out the screen so that it goes dim after a certain amount of time. That way we're not just blinding you when you go for that midnight snack. So there's some minor things like we have a progress bar at the top of the screen, which clearly communicates where we are relative in the middle of a cycle, whether you're in the beginning, middle, or end. But we also use that same progress bar to communicate where you are in your settings menu. Apologize here, let me remove this. We use that same progress bar to communicate where we are in the settings menu. So as that progress bar lights up, you kind of have a better understanding of how many options there are and where you are relative to the end, and then that will cycle back around to the other end of the menu. So some of the changes we're making are subtle, and they're not just with the user interface. For example, some of the feedback that we got was that the fill lines on our containers, like the flour hopper, are way too high. If you fill it up that high, it's actually going to push the flour out when you put the lid on. It's a minor little thing, but we're going to adjust that accordingly. Same goes for the fill line on the water tank. If you actually filled it up that high, it would actually leak out through the hinge. So kind of a silly little thing, but we're definitely going to make that change. Aside from that, we've got Bobby that's been diving deep into the software to make sure it matches all of our specifications and there's no bugs. So we're definitely working to test all of the conditions. We have to basically test every button push, every knob turn, and every possible combination of situations to make sure that we got all of those situations accounted for and there's nothing weird that happens. And so finally, one of the things that I've been doing over the last week is actually testing some of the extreme ends of the conditions for auto mode. So we know that auto mode can go up to 7 days without needing discard, but we want to test at both of those time ranges. We want to test producing the maximum amount of starter in the shortest amount of time, as well as producing both the max and minimum amounts of starter in the longest amount of time, that being 7 days. So that's what I've kind of got going on behind me here, is each of these units are set up to run auto mode under those different conditions.
Hi everybody, I am testing whole wheat flour. We're gonna grow that little bit of starter, actually not that little bit, the amount I added earlier, to 625 grams of starter by tomorrow. You know, we're just running different types of flour through it, and I'm going with the heavy stuff. We've seen your comments. I know people ask about whole wheat flour, rye flour. Remember, we did a video on fresh milled flour, which is also coarse. But so we're testing. So I've got whole wheat flour in here now. This is the reason we put calibrate in the settings menu, so that we can go in and calibrate the Sidekick to the type of flour that we're using. And that just makes it a little more accurate for the different types of flour. All right, y'all leave me alone. I got to get back to testing. We'll let you know how it turns out.
So we're just ironing out the finer details as we approach mass production of this product for our backers. Please keep tuning in for updates, and as always, we love hearing back from our viewers, so if you have any comments or questions, make sure to drop them down below. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.